All right, we'll get started. We'll start with an opening statement from Coach Wells, and then we'll jump into questions.
Well, congratulations to Oklahoma. Um, that game, we started out the way we wanted to start out with. The first drive of the game was really well executed, and then it just went downhill from there. 3 turnovers on our side of the 50. I think a couple of them in the red zone. I know one for sure right out of the gate. Those were all self-inflicted. We didn't play well on defense coming off of that, and it's a credit to them and stuff that we got to address and we got to be better at. We got a little shell-shocked, I think, there in the second quarter. Dug ourselves obviously way too big of a hole. So I'll go ahead and open it up for questions.
All right, we'll start with Don.
Matt, what was your diagnosis on the tipped passes that went for interceptions? Who was at fault there?
They were drops.
Considering the first year and a half, obviously you've either beaten or played close against just about every team in the Big 12, but that has not been the case with Oklahoma. Obviously, the Sooners have a ton of talent, but what else do you think is the reason why you have not been competitive against these guys yet?
Yeah, it's a good question, Don. Fair question. I don't know. It's we got to close a talent gap in terms of that and recruiting and development with our guys. But I just focus on tonight and Don, right out of the gate, we self-inflict things against us. We probably had more penalties. I don't even know where they were at. That's the most penalties we've had all year. Some of those were administrative, which is a lack of concentration or a lack of discipline. And I'll say this, halfway through the season, that's not like us. I think we were the least penalized team in the Big 12 coming into the game, and 11. Is that right? Am I looking at that right? Yeah, 11 for 85 yards. I mean, that's Don, you put that with drops. We haven't dropped the ball this year. I do think that's correctable. It just hasn't been us. Before you win a game, Don, you got to not beat yourselves and beating yourselves with penalties and drops. It's not the recipe to move the ball on offense.
Go to Jarrett.
Who?
Jarrett, you there? All right, we'll come back. We'll go to Ben Golan.
Hey, Coach, I have a couple questions. First, on the 15-yard unsportsmanlike on you, what were you unhappy about? And then what was the explanation you got for the flag?
Yeah, that was my fault for being on the field. Shouldn't have been out there. It's uncalled for. That's my fault. I own that. I was upset at the lack of calls for D-line movement and stimming.
And then second question, on kick returns, it seems like, tonight you had 2 fumbles go out of bounds, and, the few times you did bring it out, tackled before the 25. So, what's the philosophy as far as fair catching versus taking it out?
Well, we were going to bring it out because we liked what we had in terms of the kickoff. But Ben, I think that's it's a fair question. We got to be able to catch a kickoff return and squeeze the ball. Alex has been through ball security drills. Miles Price is in them every day. That has not been an issue for us. It was tonight. So it's something that we need to get addressed. And taking care of the football is the utmost priority. We do it every day. I know we've been really good at it. Dropping the ball, the penalties, and we let 2 roll out on us on kickoff return. That's we got to be better at that.
Go back to Jared. Still don't have anything, Jared. We'll go to Ryan King.
Hey, Coach, we talked earlier in the week about the defense sticking up for the offense and vice versa. What did you think was lacking on the defense as far as after those 3 turnovers in the first half to allow 17 points the other way for Oklahoma?
It's kind of the name of the game all night, Ben, or Ryan, sorry. Couldn't get pressure on Rattler. Let guys get open in the back end, and as the game wore on, we were very poor against the run, and so we have to sudden change like that. We got to respond better. You've got to come in and try to force field goals. The reality is, I think 2 of them. I mean, they were already in the red zone. We had 3. Is that right? The third one was right there around the 50-yard line, and obviously on offense we were putting the defense in bad field position.
We'll go back to Don.
Man, I know missing any one guy doesn't swing the difference in the outcome of a game this lopsided, but without Krishan Merriweather, your leading tackler, and then Rico sliding to playing in the middle versus a lot of times he's rushing off the edge, how did that affect your defense?
I think not having Tony Bradford, not having Krishan, that I think that affects it, Don. But we're not going to give excuses. We're not going to. We've got to play better. And when guys get hurt, guys get injured, guys aren't there. We need to pull up the slack. The rest of the guys got to pull up. We got to play better. We got to play better around them. But missing two starters, and that hurts you. I don't think there's any question about it. But we're not going to make an excuse for it.
Go to Ronald Clark.
42 unanswered points in that first half. Obviously, everything seeming like it's going well for Oklahoma. What are you saying to your team to sort of, keep them from keeping their heads down?
Just keep playing the next play. Keep playing the next series. Continue to grind. Stay together.
Go.
And then, for a game like this, obviously just completely one-sided, what do you sort of, rally your team against to not keep it from, free-falling like the first time you guys lost against Texas and then go on to a 3-game losing streak? How do you, get them back into that motivational way to go out there and for the next game?
Yeah, I think we'll address that tomorrow, Ronald. We're going to have to learn from this tape, and we're going to have to own it, and then we're going to have to move on, and we're going to have to stay with the process and keep prepping, and we got to go get ready to play a good TCU team on the road.
Go to Eric Kelly.
Hey, Coach, I got 2 for you. First one, what was the conversation? A couple mishandled snaps. I feel like one was on the center, one was on the quarterback. Is that just a communication thing, or is that just where does that stem from?
No communication. Just got to catch the snap and make a better snap. I mean, you can't overcomplicate it, really. To be honest with you. I mean, catch the snap.
And then obviously Tajay had a good game last week, but SaRodorick had some success on that 4th and 1. What was the decision to go with Taj on that carry as maybe opposed to SaRodorick?
SaRodorick was out. Am I right? I'm trying to remember the 4th and 1. We went for it on 4th down a couple of times.
Sorry, that 4th and 1 near the 50. The first time you guys went for it when it was 7 or 14-7, and Taj trying to cut it up and got stopped short. Yeah,
Eric. Honestly, I can't remember exactly. My guess is that it was about the time SaRodorick was coming out of the game from an injury standpoint. I can't remember. I'll need to go back and look, to be honest with you.
All right, looks like Jarrett's up. We'll go to Jarrett.
All right, Coach, do you hear me?
Yeah.
All right. Man, 11 penalties, 3 turnovers.
No, not really. I can't pinpoint that. I did think we had good practices. We didn't drop the ball. I mean, we hadn't had those issues really all year. Even in practice, we've caught the ball well. But yeah, certainly we didn't come out after the first series. It wasn't any good on either side of the ball. But it's hard to point to prep because I don't think it was a practice issue.
And then there was very little pass rush. It seemed like.
Good protection by them, not being able to rush, whether it was from them or us. And even when we brought pressure, I think, there were a few times we did get to him and got him flushed, and we didn't hang on in the back end. And, Jared, as we've talked about, that can be a double-edged sword sometimes. More guys you send and playing man coverage for an extended amount of time if you're not landing them. So we do need to land it, and having a pass rush is you got to put a premium on it, and we didn't get it done tonight.
We'll wrap up with Don.
Matt, you alluded to obviously Slaughter coming out of the game with injury. I mean, he had a couple of good strong runs there early in the game, that first series. What was his status going into the game? Was it a pain tolerance deal, or did he re-aggravate the same thing, or what happened there?
Yeah, both, Don. To answer your question, yeah, both.
Okay. And what were you told about Tony Bradford? We saw him go down there in pregame.
Yeah,
How did that happen?
pregame warm up. We'll have him assessed a little bit more tomorrow. They tried to kind of move him around, and he tightened up, so was ruled out pretty quick, unfortunately.
We got two, one for each. So starting with Zach, defensively in that secondary, you guys had done a pretty good job. Not only those big plays early on through this season. What changed tonight?
Today I will just say, just everybody getting the overall understanding of what your assignment is and certain coverages and executing that and just doing your 111th. And today I can for sure say that a lot of us on the defense side, secondary, we trying to do things that weren't in our assignments, and it showed. And we weren't executing what we went over in practice, the concepts that we were getting from them. We just didn't execute the coverages to those route concepts.
And then Henry, Coach called those two interceptions drops by receivers. What's the conversation like with both Keyshawn and Miles on how, I guess, maybe to avoid that going forward? Is it just kind of a, hey, we just got to move on, or is there some discussion between you and them on maybe where they're more comfortable catching it or a little bit less on it, or is there a conversation after the? Yeah,
I mean, it's nothing against them at all. We just keep attacking. We don't focus on that. Two drops. I mean, it was definitely my fault. I threw the ball behind Keyshawn on one of them, came up. Then I put way too much on it for Miles. It's not their fault at all. I just told them, let's keep attacking. Let's move on to the next play. You can't dwell on the past. So you just got to keep moving.
Go to Ryan King.
Got one for each of you guys. Well, I'll start with Zach. Talking earlier this week to Coach, we were talking to him about how whenever the offense may not capitalize on something, maybe they have a 3-and-out, how the defense responds. On the 3 turnovers, Oklahoma was able to score 17 points on those turnovers. What kind of position were you guys in, whenever it was a quick turn like that and then Oklahoma was able to score on you?
I mean, they had a good field position on those turnovers that they got on us, but for us, it's just we got to know that we got to have the offense's back. I mean, it's just real unfortunate. I mean, the field position, but I mean, that's football. You got to live with it. Other than that, we just got to go out there and make a stand and force them to a field goal or a 3-and-out or a takeaway. So, yeah.
And Henry, whenever Oklahoma went on the run, 42 straight points after you guys were up 7-0. In what ways was the offense? Did it feel differently? Were guys pressing differently when all of a sudden the other team is just scoring? What changed with how you guys were on offense from that point forward?
Yeah, I mean, it's not like we changed much. We kept having the same mentality to try and keep attacking. They just made some plays there, and mainly in that second quarter. End of the first quarter, and we just got to get going. We just had to find ways to get the playmakers the ball, and it starts with me. So we'll get back after it this week and get ready to roll.
And how do you keep that kind of hot start? Because you guys had that for the second week in a row. You score on that first drive, which you guys Tech hadn't been doing most of the year. How do you keep that going? Because you come out, score seven immediately, but it's a long time till that next touchdown. How do you keep that going throughout a game?
Yeah, I think just continuing to execute the game plan. Not shooting ourselves in the foot. We had a couple of things that could have been avoided, whether it's penalties or misreads, things like that. Just continue to execute our game plan. Not get too high in the moment and just keep rolling.
Go to Eric Kelly and then Ronald Clark right after him.
Zach, penalties, especially defensively, were killers in some of those drives. Was it just a little over pursuit? Was it just losing your head? Because, like Coach mentioned earlier, you guys one of the least penalized teams in the Big 12. What went wrong on that in that aspect?
Yeah, majority or I know from secondary, a lot of them penalties came in coverage, and that's when really you got to rely on our technique. Them penalties hurt us a lot. Like you said, going into this game, we were playing good defense without penalties, and we just can't put ourselves in that position because we just kept bailing them out with those penalties.
And then you guys were making some pretty sound open field tackles early on, and then as it kind of went on, those became missed tackles. Do you think you guys pressed a little bit in terms of just trying to make a big play and maybe trying to overreact a little bit in those types of situations?
Yeah, those open field tackles, they definitely caught up to us, the missed ones. And it's just a matter of just having some grit and finish. I don't really have too much to say on it. Just wish we can have them tackles back, to be honest.
Go to Ronald Clark.
In a game like this where it seems like, the ball's just sort of bouncing the other team's way, to whereas you guys have been pretty much all the other games you guys have been in, if you hadn't won that game, what felt so differently about this game? Was it some about you guys' body language or the mentality of the team when you guys just start going down like that against this Oklahoma team?
Is me?
Yeah.
That's for either of you guys.
No, yeah. It's a team that we don't. We're not going to quit no matter what the score is on the scoreboard. We're going to keep battling. No matter how the ball's bouncing that day. Of course, there are a few unlucky turn events that we wish we could have back, but you can't do anything about it. You got to keep going, and I know personally, I have the defense's back, the offense has the defense's back, and I know that they have our back. So that's about it for me.
Yeah, from the defensive side, I mean, going against a team like Oklahoma with a lot of talent, you can't have too many mistakes. You got to really minimize the mistakes on both sides of the ball because a team with that much talent, I mean, a lot of mistakes, it'll start falling in their hands and it'll start playing to their favor. So that's really the moral of the story for this game.
Go to Don.
For Zach, you mentioned a moment ago some of the things Oklahoma does with route concepts. The success they have, is it a case of what they do or the talent that they have at quarterback and receiver enabling them to do it? I guess kind of what I'm asking is, some of the route concepts more complicated than what you normally defend, or is it just a case of the receivers are more talented than some of the receivers you guys face?
Yeah, I don't think it was a talent thing at all. What it really was is it comes down to like discipline and detail. They run a lot of deep over routes that come real late. And like you said, they have a talented quarterback that can make those throws. Not many quarterbacks in this league who can make roll out to the opposite side and make a deep over route to the other side of the field. And that's what they were hitting us on in cover 3 and outside vertical stretch. That's the concept. That's what it's called, like a post corner with a deep over that comes 30, 35 yards down the field. And it's a pretty hard concept to stop, but I mean, if you play sound defense, everything will work out.